afternoon, as Elon Musk made it clear, he knows he's the center of attention. He's the reason why everybody on the Democratic Party has learned to curse in real time in front of their podium. He went out and said, being transparent on what DOGE is doing and what they're not doing, what they've discovered in looking at the budget, how he has nothing personal to gain from this, while bringing his son to show that he's a dad. And you see that this is almost a family atmosphere he has with Donald Trump, who they're dying to say that Trump and Musk are coming apart. There's no evidence that they're doing anything but getting closer.
So here he is.
What is the goal of DOGE, and I think a significant part of the presidency is to restore democracy. We're really just talking about adding common sense controls that should be present, that haven't been present. You know, there's crazy things like just cursory examination of Social Security, and we've got people in there that are 150 years old. Now, do you know anyone who's 150? I don't. Okay. And then we were told, this is actually, I think, a great anecdote, because we were told the most number of people that could retire possibly in a month is 10,000. We're like, well, why is that? Well, because all the retirement paperwork is manual on paper. It's manually calculated, then written down on a piece of paper. Then it goes down a mine. And I'm like, what do you mean a mine? Like, yeah, there's a limestone mine where we store all the retirement paperwork. And we've also got to address the deficit. So we've got a $2 trillion deficit. And if we don't do something about this deficit, the country's going bankrupt. What are the two ingredients that are really necessary in order to cut the budget deficit in half from 2 trillion to 1 trillion? And it's really two things: competence and caring. And if you add competence and caring, you'll cut the budget deficit in half.
Okay, so he's leading up the Department of Government Efficiency. And when he just brought up the story about that limestone mine, this goes to show you exactly how inefficient the federal government is. Back in 1958, the federal government was looking for 30,000 square feet to store personnel records, and they looked at a couple of places. They wound up there in Boyers, Pennsylvania. It's north of Pittsburgh, and to this day, they still have 700 OPM workers who work about 230 feet underground. And what they do is when an application for retirement comes in, they process it and they keep it in a manila envelope there in that particular spot. It's owned by Iron Mountain today, apparently, and they lease out the caverns where Hollywood stores films and stuff like that. But it goes to show you, Elon Musk would love to automate that process so that if you want to retire, you just fill out a form online and next thing you know, you're retired. Instead, it is this very long process, and that's why the federal government can only process 10,000 retirements a month.
Hey. I had been working the case every Wednesday for over a year now, and I was feeling that I was no closer to cracking it. Sometimes you feel like you know the story, but sometimes you don't even know what day it is. The world is full of obvious things which nobody by any chance ever observes. A Trump supporter was called a racist. But what day is it? The sun comes up, the sun goes down, the birds whistle, the bees buzz, and everything seems to be okay. But what day is it?
Trump noir, we'll call it. This is our brand new mode for Hump Day, ladies and gentlemen. As you know, this is something that we celebrate every single week on this show with a brand new meme from meme maker Jerry featuring a camel saying Big Mike many times over. Okay. All right, enough. Today is Wednesday, February 12th, 2025. You will witness history live on our show today as we confirm Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence. Tulsi is a friend of the show. She's been on the program many times. We love Tulsi. We know Tulsi. She's exactly the kind of person that you need in this position, and we'll explain why in just a moment. We'll watch her confirmation happening live now. My producers are telling me that there are already shenanigans being played out inside of Congress right now. We'll go live to the Senate floor in just a second. Trump releases American hostages from Russia who've been hostages since the day that the Biden regime started. So Joe Biden was president for four years. We call him the resident of the White House. Resident, I'm rusty on my training and all of our nomenclature for the Biden regime. Whew, we're losing it, boys. So Joe Biden was resident in the White House for 4 years. And they did nothing, I mean, literally nothing to get this guy out of a Russian jail. Nothing. And now Trump's in office for like a few days, and the Russians are just like sending him. It's incredible. An incredible moment. The guy spent the night in the Lincoln bedroom and was chugging whiskey on the plane flight home. Good for him. Elon Musk and Donald Trump hold impromptu press conference in the Oval Office. Absolute comedy gold. Updates from inside of your federal government by the two buddy cops who are now running things. And it's it's just like a thing of legend. I really hope they turn this into a regularly occurring show with Elon Musk and Donald Trump from the Oval Office Resolute desk, plus little X, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we'll be witnessing history, covering it from our front seat to the golden era. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. We have some really exciting things that are happening right now in this country, and it's going to be really fun to cover all of them with you. Obviously, you might have noticed that there has been some crazy ups and downs inside of the stock market. The inflation numbers that hit, and we've been warning you about this, from the Biden regime, this kind of stuff like inflation is a lagging indicator. You're going to see probably some bad inflation numbers in the next year because of what Joe Biden did and how much money was spent in the federal government. The federal government is horribly in debt. It's a bad thing to be. And that inflation will be a nuisance. It will be something that they will try almost in a sabotage way to pull down the Trump administration with the egregious amount of drunken sailor spending. Don't be that, okay? Don't spend that way. It's a bad way to run a government. It's a bad way to run your household. Go to American Financing. Get yourself out of debt today. They're saving their customers $800 a month. You can tap into your home's equity, and you, ladies and gentlemen, can make sure that you are on the path to being out of debt. My friends at American Financing can help you out. Call American Financing today at 888-528-1219. That's 888-528-1219. AmericanFinancing.net/Benny. NMLS 182334. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here is the live shot of the Senate floor. We have the Tulsi Gabbard confirmation that is currently ongoing. Now, my producers are telling me they haven't voted yet. They have no votes. We have no votes yet. Let's go ahead and listen in. Okay, hold on. Wait. They might have just actually started voting. Yeah? Let's listen. No audio. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll be tracking this. This is obviously something that is incredibly important to us. The Director of National Intelligence is the individual who has all of the intelligence agencies answering to them. This is how they were able to foil multiple plots against Donald Trump. They finally put somebody into this position. It was Rick Grinnell, who was able to stop multiple plots against the president in term one. They are trying to fix this in term two by getting the right person in right away. Again, the voting is underway right now, but there's no audio happening. Now, we do expect Tulsi Gabbard to be nominated. Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Mitch McConnell, the three Rhino Republicans, voted for her advancement out of cloture to the actual floor of the Senate. So that's a good sign. We'd have to watch those three votes, but I've seen no others. ALX, correct me if I'm wrong, I've seen no others say, other Republicans go squishy on Tulsi. Tulsi had an absolutely spectacular confirmation hearing and just really blew the doors off of any of her critics, doing an incredible job. I just got to take a moment and like plant a flag very quickly here. The heart of darkness in your federal government are these intelligence agencies. This is where the assassinations of JFK, this is where the Russiagate, the assassinations of Donald Trump, this is where all of these plots originate. I'll just take a moment to like pause on COVID-19. How did we get COVID-19 exactly? Like, did the Chinese really make up a virus to like try and sabotage America? No, in fact. During the aftermath of September 11th, something called the Patriot Act was passed. You might remember the Patriot Act. That Patriot Act had a massive mountain of cash for bioweapons. Now, this is not what this show is about, but and it's like we have to do another 7 hours on this. The bioweapons laboratories in Ukraine, Hunter Biden, how this entire thing, like the U.S. creating literal biological weapons. The point is that the person who was put in charge of the bioweapons program, of course, it's called bioweapons defense against bioweapons. We're trying to stop bioweapons, not create them ourselves, right? It's Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci is the guy in charge of all of it. Dr. Fauci used American laboratories to do gain-of-function research and to make pathogens extremely deadly, and he did this through CIA funding for bioweapons programs passed through the Patriot Act. To, I guess, his credit, Barack Obama stopped this because the labs kept leaking the bioweapons. This is a matter of historic record. And Obama said, no, we're not going to be creating more biological weapons here in America. So what did Dr. Fauci do? He outsourced it. He took piles of cash and brought it to the Wuhan laboratory, but many other laboratories around the world. Some of them we still fund. Biological weapons laboratories. And that's how you actually got COVID. Through a grant given to an organization called the EcoHealth Alliance that went to Wuhan, that paid Chinese scientists and researchers to go high up into the hills to grab horseshoe bats out of where they naturally live, far away from human beings. Horseshoe bats, we don't know why, but are natural repositories of coronaviruses. It doesn't seem to hurt the bats at all. But they can be very infectious to humans if you add spike proteins, and that is what they did in the lab. And then it got leaked. And so that entire operation was being run through the CIA, through Dr. Fauci. This was happening because we didn't have proper oversight for the Director of National Intelligence. The Director of National Intelligence wasn't somebody who was looking into these things, stopping these things before they could create the calamities that the country faced over the, obviously, last 4 years. So, obviously, this is an unbelievably important position. This is where all of the hoaxes and all of the frauds against Donald Trump get spawned. This is the spawning point here inside of these dark agencies, these black boxes, where there's no oversight. The DNI is effectively the individual who does the oversight. So that's why it's unbelievably important for Tulsi Gabbard to get into that position. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have a Tulsi Gabbard emoji, I believe, that is being added to the chat. So please go ahead and punch that emoji directly into the comment section as we watch for Tulsi Gabbard to be confirmed. Tulsi Gabbard, during her confirmation hearing, I am not a puppet. The reason why everybody is against me is because I'm actually not somebody that they can control. I'm not bought and paid for by these evil individuals who have tried as hard as they possibly can to usurp American democracy and to steal the votes from the American people and the will of the American people. I'm not that guy. This is why we need Tulsi. Here we go.
The fact is, what truly unsettles my political opponents is I refuse to be their puppet. I have no love for Assad or Gaddafi or any dictator. I just hate al-Qaeda. I hate that we have leaders who cozy up to Islamist extremists, minimizing them to so-called rebels. As Jake Sullivan said to Hillary Clinton, quote, al-Qaeda is on our side in Syria. Well, Syria is now controlled by an al-Qaeda offshoot, HTS, led by an Islamist jihadist who danced in the streets on 9/11 and who was responsible for the killing of many American service members. Democrat senators in the past resorted to anti-Christian bigotry against some of President Trump's judicial nominees like Amy Coney Barrett and Brian Boucher. I condemned those actions as a Democrat in Congress at the time, as religious bigotry must be thoroughly condemned by all of us, no matter the religion. Unfortunately, there are some Democrat senators who still don't understand the principle of freedom of religion and Article 6 of the Constitution. Quote, no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. Unfortunately, they're once again using the religious bigotry card, but this time trying to foment religious bigotry against Hindus and Hinduism. If anyone is sincerely interested in knowing more about my own personal spiritual path of Hinduism, I welcome you to go to my account on X, where I'll share more on this topic. If confirmed as Director of National Intelligence, I will continue to live by the oath that I have sworn at least 8 times in my life, both in uniform and as a member of Congress. I will support and defend our God-given freedoms enshrined in the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. Thank you very much for your time. I look forward to your questions.
Our entire intelligence agency has been built on lies to the American people. We covered this yesterday with Anna Polina Luna and her just beginning to call for some type of truth and transparency onto the many, many established lies that American history is built upon. There was a single shooter with JFK. Don't worry about it.
Bud,
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Cassidy, Cotton, Crapo, Curtis, Daines, Grassley, Johnson, Justice, Langford, Moran, Mullen, Risch, Rounds, Schmidt, Scott of South Carolina, Sheehy, Tillis, Tuberville. Mr. Hoven, aye. Senators voting in the negative: also Brooks, Coons, Hassan, Heinrich, Kim, Klobuchar, Lujan, Murray, Peters, Schumer, Shaheen, Van Hollen, Wyden. Mr. McCormick, aye. Mr. Ricketts, aye. Mrs. Hyde-Smith, aye. Mrs. Fisher, aye.
So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We've got finally a little bit of a roll call there from the floor.
Mr. Schiff, no.
Oh, Adam Schiff. Oh, there you go.
Mr. Bozeman, aye. Mr. Schatz, no. Mr. Marshall, aye.
She needs 51 to pass.
Mr. Gallego, no.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we will check in on this. The only other clip that I want to play you from Tulsi Gabbard's confirmation hearing is Tulsi going directly at Hillary Clinton. And if this is really all that you need to know about Tulsi Gabbard, the person who has fought the hardest against Tulsi in a psychotic, unexplainable way has been Hillary Clinton. Throughout Hillary's entire career, she has viewed Tulsi as her foremost enemy. Hillary Clinton is for forever war. Hillary Clinton is for the corruption of USAID, funding, of course, her entire family. It's like every $5 USAID spent, $1 went to the Clintons. In case you're wondering exactly how corrupt this system was and why Elon Musk and Donald Trump were set to destroy it, this is why. This is why it had to happen. So judge someone by their enemies. Hillary Clinton regularly, publicly attacks Tulsi with extreme viciousness. And during her confirmation hearing, here's what Tulsi Gabbard had to say about Hillary Clinton.
Here are just a few other examples. The American people elected Donald Trump as their president not once but twice. And yet the FBI and intelligence agencies were politicized by his opponents to undermine his presidency and falsely portray him as a puppet of Putin. Title I of FISA was used illegally to obtain a warrant to spy on Trump campaign advisor Carter Page, using a Clinton campaign-funded false dossier as their so-called evidence. Biden campaign advisor Tony Blinken was the impetus for the 51 former senior intelligence officials' letter dismissing Hunter Biden's laptop as disinformation specifically to help Biden win the election. Former DNI James Clapper lied to this committee in 2013, denying the existence of programs that facilitated the mass collection of millions of Americans' phone and internet records, yet was never held accountable. Under John Brennan's leadership, the CIA abused its power to spy on Congress, to dodge oversight, lied about doing it until he was caught, and yet has never been held responsible. Under Biden, the FBI abused its power for political reasons to try to surveil Catholics who attend traditional Latin Mass, labeling them as quote-unquote radical traditionalist Catholics. Personally, just 24 hours after I criticized Kamala Harris and her nomination, I was placed on a secret domestic terror watch list called Quiet Skies. Sadly, there are more examples. The bottom line is this must end.
So Tulsi Gabbard is, much like RFK, much like Kash Patel, much like Donald Trump, a victim of the institution that she wishes that she will now be running. Tulsi Gabbard was put on like a don't fly list, right, by these urchins, and these same people that raided Melania's closet, right, because they thought that they could torture innocent American civilians. Single dumbest move in American history. It'll lead to the total and complete destruction of the deep state. They attacked their political enemies. They harassed them mercilessly. They made actual legitimate victims of these people. And this is how you get villain origin stories, I guess, from the perspective of the deep state, right? This is how you create people that are set hard like flint against you. Tulsi Gabbard is sitting there talking about how the Clintons funded the Russia PP dossier. It's all fake. Tulsi Gabbard is sitting there talking about how much probably still needs to be exposed about the 51 intelligence officials that signed the letter saying that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation, in spite of the fact that the FBI knew it was real. Tulsi Gabbard would now be seated over the FBI, the CIA, and 17 other intelligence gathering organs of the federal government. This is why it is so unbelievably important. Ladies and gentlemen, we have some breaking news based on math, according to Fox News. And let me know, guys, if we have the actual clip here. Okay, let's pop on over here. Okay, let's pop on over here to Fox. Let's have a listen. Fox has done the math, and Fox says that Tulsi is confirmed, even though she only has 33 votes. Fox is saying that Tulsi has been confirmed. Let's listen.
Laid it out. We're watching now. Tulsi Gabbard has enough votes to be our next Director of National Intelligence. Chad Pergram, always great. Good to have you. Thank you. We are now going back to something that has really turned out to be what we thought it would be. And that was contentious, certainly informational, and a good debate at a hearing about the Department of Government Efficiency. At the center of this so far has been one name, and that's Elon Musk. Let's go back live to the hearing on DOGE.
Federal workforce, will this increase or decrease?
Look at your Congress. Oh my God. Oh man.
Thank you, Delegate Norton. I think it's pretty clear that chaos is not the friend of efficiency. If you undermine the very functionality of the government, you are not going to make it more efficient. You're going to make it worse, and it's going to cost even more money to
What's going on?
fix things that go wrong in the interim.
Right,
so
enough,
again, I mentioned earlier that
enough. It's like, oh my gosh, your government is a hospice. That was Eleanor Holmes Norton. Okay, yeah, let's pop that up. So now 37 for Tulsi. So there's 5 more Republicans came through. Fox saying that based on the numbers. But guys, please get me Chad Pergram explaining the math here. Please grab that clip as soon as possible. Fox News saying based on the numbers, Tulsi Gabbard will be confirmed. What you're seeing here is the live vote tally right now at 38. So putting Tulsi Gabbard in there to probably run a massive declass campaign, because it would be up to Tulsi Gabbard what gets declassified. This is why you saw Anna Paulina Luna do the announcement yesterday that she's going to be working with the FBI, with the government agencies to request declassifications. This is a multi-step process, and it would actually fall to Tulsi Gabbard as to what gets declassified. Ooh, the amount of document shredding and document burning that is happening right now inside of the deep state. One more Tulsi clip, ladies and gentlemen. Tulsi Gabbard talking to a Republican senator who was questioning her loyalties effectively and smashing back. Tulsi's been through it, man, and knows what it's like to be a victim of these machines. I mean, what she went through, the Democrat Party, running for president as a Democrat, what she's endured through that entire process. She's a freaking fighter. Listen to this.
I want to make certain that in no way does Russia get a pass in either your mind or your heart, or in any policy recommendation you would make or not make.
Senator, I'm offended by the question because my sole focus, commitment, and responsibility is about our own nation, our own security, and the interests of the American people. In carrying out the responsibilities of the Director of National Intelligence, if confirmed, no country, group, or individual will get a pass in my fulfilling that responsibility of providing that full intelligence picture so that you all can make the best informed policy decisions for the safety, security, and freedom of the American people. You have my commitment to be completely objective, unbiased, and apolitical, and I hope you understand my commitment to our country's interest.
We know Tulsi personally, worked with her on a number of things, spoken with her at multiple conferences, and I'm telling you, this woman just loves her country and really hates the abuse and weaponization of our intelligence agencies. She's been a victim of that abuse and weaponization and is the perfect person for this job. You're going to need someone like this in order to get these declassifications that we want so badly, but also prepare for the press conference where Tulsi Gabbard comes forward and says, here's what we know about how Hillary Clinton tried to rig the elections against Donald Trump. Get ready for that. There's so much that people don't know. There's so much that yet has to be uncovered. And I think we're just going to be in for one hell of a ride. So Tulsi Gabbard, according to Fox News, apparently is going to be confirmed Now, this shouldn't come as a massive shock because multiple individuals have, multiple senators who could have potentially thrown a wrench in this have stepped forward and said that they will be voting to support Tulsi Gabbard. Fox News' congressional reporter Chad Pergram saying the math now worked in Tulsi's favor. She will be confirmed as the next director of national intelligence. This will be a massive, massive win for the country. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we can pop back up here. Tulsi at 43. We like doing these confirmation votes because I don't trust Republicans at all on these things. You get them?
I gotta refresh this. So I'm gonna switch feeds real quick.
Okay. Got it. All right. All right, good. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we await the actual final vote, but we have great hope that the so Tulsi Gabbard confirmed as Director of National Intelligence. This is the Chiron on Fox News. Fox News saying the math is 100% in for Tulsi and that we are set. Okay. I'd like to move on from this. Okay. I'd like to move on from this. Obviously these are the breaking news moments that we want to be on for, but these Senate votes are excruciating and painful, and we had to wait an extra hour for the Pete Hegseth vote because effing Mitch McConnell decides to vote against Pete Hegseth at the last second, forcing J.D. Vance to take an emergency trip to the Senate to cast the tie-breaking vote. We were live for that. And so we just don't trust Republicans. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is Fox News doing the math. Is this what we have, Klein? Here's Fox News doing the math, saying Tulsi Gabbard will be confirmed. Let's go.
All right, we have breaking news now. We have been monitoring while that hearing was going on DOGE. We will get right back to it. But for now, Tulsi Gabbard has enough votes to become the next Director of National Intelligence. This would be the 14th member confirmed of Trump's choices for the cabinet. 6 more to go. I understand that as the count that we are working with. And now let's go to senior congressional correspondent Chad Pergram, who is on the Hill. So we are keeping tally here. What is happening on the floor, Chad?
Well, this is the roll call vote for Tulsi Gabbard here to confirm her as the Director of National Intelligence. There was just a couple of weeks ago where some people didn't think that she would have the votes to be confirmed. What we're watching for now, if there are any Republican no's, the one person to watch, I would say, would be Mitch McConnell, the Republican senator from Kentucky. We found out just before the vote here that John Curtis, the freshman Republican senator from Utah, that he was a yes, but he said in his statement that his vote for her was not, quote, predetermined. But this vote is open right now, and Tulsi Gabbard will be confirmed. Just before the roll call vote began, you had Chuck Schumer, the Democratic leader, indicating that he didn't think that any Democrats would vote for this. He was rather proud of that. And on the floor this morning, you had John Thune, the Republican leader, saying that, Tulsi Gabbard used to be a Democrat. Maybe she's seen the error of her ways. Just after this roll call vote, the Senate will vote to break a filibuster on the nomination of RFK Jr. for Health and Human Services Secretary. He will not be confirmed today. That vote will come tomorrow. We expect Democrats to run out the clock. Remember that they were originally planning to do this vote around 12:30, 1 o'clock this morning. The Democrats were going to make them consume all this time, and that's when that vote would ripen for Tulsi Gabbard and her confirmation. The reason they delayed it until today is because of the snowstorm. There's a big snowstorm here in Washington, D.C. We have anywhere from about 6 to 10 inches of snow on the Capitol grounds right here, and they thought that it might be hard to get people in and out of the Capitol. And sometimes when you're playing with fire with these roll call votes, you want to make sure that everybody is here. Keep in mind that they did not think that this vote was in jeopardy if they had all Republican senators here because J.D. Vance, who you might remember a few weeks ago, broke the tie to confirm Pete Hegseth as the Secretary of Defense. J.D. Vance had to break that tie, only the second time in history that it happened. J.D. Vance is nowhere near the Senate. He is meeting with European leaders, and he is in Paris, France, right here today. So again, this will be the 14th confirmation of any nominees that President Trump has sent to the Hill, but this will probably mean that this is a partisan vote. Again, we have to keep an eye here on Mitch McConnell if all Republicans vote yes, but keep in mind that heretofore 11 nominees have gotten Democratic support, but no Democratic yeas on this nomination of Gabbard today, Harris.
Yeah, just real quickly, and I appreciate you saying that there was really no concern for J.D. Vance to have to step in and break a tie. So they know Republicans had the votes for Tulsi Gabbard. It's along those party lines, as you pointed out. So you laid it out about Mitch McConnell. He's not going to be senator again, so he's not flexing to get reelected. I mean, what would the point be then to go against Tulsi Gabbard? What is the exact push point here?
All right. Well, he's not made his announcement as to whether or not he would, run again in 2026. But again, the bottom line is he's not in the leadership. He voted against Pete Hegseth. And if he were to vote, and we don't know, he has kept very close counsel on all these nominees. He voted yesterday. I should point this out. He voted to break the filibuster, or a couple of days ago, Monday night, I should say, to break the filibuster on the nomination of Gabbard to be the Director of National Intelligence. He just didn't think that Pete Hegseth was equipped to be the Defense Secretary. We don't know his disposition here. I noticed that every time he votes for one of these nominees, though, that he says, I'm proud to support that person. But just because you vote to end that filibuster does not necessarily translate to a yes vote. So sometimes people might vote to end that filibuster, and sometimes they might not support the nominee at the end of the day, Harris.
I appreciate that.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the actual math from Fox News' congressional reporter, a dude named Chad Peargrim. When I was working on Capitol Hill, I would see Chad all the time. Super nice guy, very type A, knows the Senate and congressional rules better than anybody. So if he says that Tulsi's getting it, then Tulsi's getting it. Here we go, 46. Again, we just don't trust. We just don't trust Republicans. But again, they're doing the vote without J.D. Vance in Washington D.C. So they've got to know that Tulsi's gonna get locked in. They're all waiting to see how Mitch McConnell votes. Back to the meme of your federal government being a hospice center. Here is a video of Mitch McConnell from yesterday. Looks to be totally healthy. Definitely someone who should be running the government.
Leader McConnell?
There you go. Look at that. Got a boot on in the wheelchair. Wow.
How are you feeling, Leader McConnell?
So spry, so fit. Yeah, your government is a hospice care center. You know what's so sickening about all this? Is that McConnell, who can't walk unaided, do you really think he can think? Do you really think he's actually casting votes? Do you believe this guy's making any of this? Of course not. It's the way that Washington, D.C. has worked and has worked through my entire life and your entire life. The bureaucrats unelected around the officers make the principal decisions. It's not a real government. There's a government outside of the government, outside of the constitutional restraints, outside of the control that we should have over it. They make all this, the faceless, nameless orcs and goblins inside of the system, the ghosts in the machine, they make the decisions. Mitch McConnell is just a vector for interests that pay a pretty penny. He's worth $100 million. $100 million? His salary is only $200,000 a year. So how's he worth $100 million? Yeah, ask the right questions. You'll get the right answers. And this is what they're trying to, this is the system they're trying to destroy at DOGE. And this is why it's so incredibly important. The work that Elon Musk is doing, and Elon Musk held an impromptu press conference with Donald Trump yesterday in the White House. This is the system that they are fighting against, and I guess it's worth noting who's fighting against them. This is the song that's going viral this morning. This is the this is in seconds here. I'll show you Donald Trump and Elon Musk from the White House. This is what they're up against. This is what we're up against. Okay, an entire party fueled by cringe.
Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me, which side are you on? Which side are you on? We'll fight against DOGE. We'll fight Elon Musk. No Elon's kept within our walls. We'll fight from dawn to dusk. Oh, which side are you on? Which side?
I can't take it anymore. It's like you're an illegal alien that's been sent to Guantanamo Bay and you're just getting tortured, and that's what they play in your cell 24 hours a day. Just play this for the terrorists in Guantanamo Bay. They'll tell you everything. Tell you where the bombs are. They'll tell you where the Al Qaeda cells are. They'll tell you what the next plot is. Just play this. Play this constantly in Guantanamo Bay.
Which side are you on?
Why don't you? How about this? Put a giant.
Which side are you
Put giant megaphones on the border, okay? I'm talking like big speakers, all right? And just play this into Mexico. And you'll get zero illegal immigration. No one will ever try to cross into America again. I just want to thank libs for giving us this gift. If you just if you just blared this into Mexico from the American side of the border, every single criminal alien would just turn around and say, no, I'm not effing with that. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. The Donald Trump, Elon Musk press conference yesterday that broke the world. An impromptu press conference in the Oval Office featuring Little X and Elon and Trump at the Resolute desk explaining why all of the pain that is being visited upon the deep state is totally and completely necessary. Trump talking first about cutting waste and abuse and going after the judges that are trying to prevent him from doing so.
Billions and billions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse. And I think it's very important. And that's one of the reasons I got elected. I said, we're going to do that. Nobody had any idea it was that bad, that sick, and that corrupt. And it seems hard to believe that judges want to try and stop us from looking for corruption, especially when we found hundreds of millions of dollars worth, much more than that, in just a short period of time. We want to weed out the corruption. And it seems hard to believe that a judge could say, we don't want you to do that. Well, so maybe we have to look at the judges, because that's a very serious, I think it's a very serious violation.
You know, the more we learn about these judges, the more we learn that their wives worked for USAID. We're learning a lot about these judges that are ruling against Donald Trump right now, that they are totally and completely Trump deranged, have a long history of that. And, oh, there it is. Oh, come on. Okay, here we go. We're going to pop this up real fast.
Nays 48 nomination is confirmed.
Yes!
Under the previous order, the motion to reconsider is considered, made, and laid upon the table, and the president
McConnell
will
voted
immediately
no.
notify of the
That
Senate's
old
actions.
bastard.
Mr. President, I move
Leader.
to waive the mandatory quorum with respect to the Kennedy nomination.
Is there objection? Without objection. The clerk will report the motion and
All
vote
right.
cloture.
So there we
Close
go.
the motion. We, the undersigned senators, in
All right.
accordance with the
There we
provisions of
go.
Rule
Tulsi Gabbard confirmed 52 votes. Mitch McConnell sabotaging his party. I mean, it's like the final insults to any potential legacy. This is a photo of Mitch McConnell voting. Look at this. Look at this. So this old decrepit blob, the literal embodiment of the system he's trying to protect, the blob. He looks like a blob being wheeled around in a wheelchair, can't walk, can't speak, can't think, has his staff voting for him. A perfect representation, totally emblematic of the Washington, D.C. that we are trying to destroy. All right. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump on the migrant hotels story that we broke yesterday about the number of individuals high up at FEMA that got fired. $60 million sent behind Trump's back to go fund luxury hotels for criminal aliens, Trump not having any of it.
We have a case in New York where a hotel has paid $59 million, $59 million because it's housing migrants, illegal migrants. All illegal, I believe.
And they were being paid twice the normal room rate at 100% occupancy.
Unbelievable.
So it's a racket.
Mr. Musk, I'm going to ask you a question.
Well, if I may sort of just going for the president's comments, at a high level, you say, well, what are the two ingredients that are really necessary in order to cut the budget deficit in half from $2 trillion to $1 trillion? And it's really two things: competence and caring. And if you add competence and caring, you'll cut the budget deficit in half. And I fully expect to be scrutinized and get a daily proctology exam, basically. Might as well just camp out there. So it's not like I think I can get away with something. I'll be scrutinized nonstop. But with support of the president, we can cut the budget deficit in half from $2 trillion to $1 trillion, and then with deregulation, because there's a lot of sort of regulations that don't ultimately serve the public good. We need to free the builders of America to build. And if we do that, that means I think we can get the economic growth to be maybe 3-4%, maybe 5%. And that means if you can get $1 trillion of economic growth and you cut the budget deficit by $1 trillion, between now and next year, there is no inflation.
Do you notice little X picking his nose there? Please load that as a play-beside. Do you see little X picking his nose? Does any parent vibe with this? Little X is there literally picking his nose. Pop it up as the very end of the clip. It's like incredibly. It's like, there you go. What a timeline we're living in. Little X in between Trump and the richest man in the world, the richest, so it's like the richest, most powerful private sector and the most powerful public sector men in the world, with little X picking his nose in between the two of them. I love this timeline. I would watch this buddy comedy. These two guys from the Oval Office, this would be just such an amazing, if they would just do this weekly, where it's just Elon Musk in DOGE swag with dark MAGA hat on, and Donald Trump from the White House, and little X wiling out, picking his nose. I would watch this. We would do this live. This wasn't live, sadly. It's called live to tape, so they just let a camera come in and film it, and they're not allowed to be actually live during these things. So, and they're unannounced. So this happened late. This happened at dusk yesterday. But it not only is it comedy gold, it's incredibly informative. Elon Musk on the outsized bureaucratic death spiral that this country is experiencing. Here we go.
So if there's not a good feedback loop from the people to the government, and if you have rule of the bureaucrat, if the bureaucracy is in charge, and then what meaning does democracy actually have? If the people cannot vote and have their will be decided by their elected representatives in the form of the president and the Senate and the House, then we don't live in a democracy. We live in a bureaucracy. So it's incredibly important that we close that feedback loop, we fix that feedback loop, and that the public's elected representatives, the president, the House, and the Senate, decide what happens, as opposed to a large, unelected bureaucracy.
Exactly what we're talking about. And we have a clip. We have a clip to demonstrate to you exactly how this works. Here's the clip, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dianne Feinstein, who is 90 years old. She's deceased, but she was 90 years old here in this clip. she is supposed to be voting on something very important in the Senate. And this is a Senate work group. She's supposed to be voting on something that has a lot of impact on life in America. Let's go ahead and see how this vote goes for her, shall we?
Senator Feinstein.
Say aye.
Pardon me?
Aye.
Yeah.
Just say
I would like to support a yes vote on this. It provides $823 billion. That's an increase of $26 billion for the Department of Defense. And it funds priorities submitted.
Yeah, just say aye.
Okay, just
Aye.
Senator-
Thank you.
It's not funny. It's not cute. It's incredibly sad, and it's so disrespectful to all of us to have your federal government be a hospice center, which is exactly what it was, because she died not long after this. And I'm not trying to engage in gallows humor. I don't wish pain or suffering on any American. It's just a matter of fact that she literally died in the Senate when she could have been spending time with her grandkids. She could have been watching sunsets for the last time. And instead of doing what any normal, healthy person would do, she's here having these doughy slobs just bark at her how to vote. This is just a remarkable insight into how life actually works in Washington.
funds priorities submitted.
Just say aye.
Yeah, just say aye.
Okay, just aye.
Thank you.
It's not democracy. It's exactly what Elon Musk is saying. It's not democracy. It's something, and it's not democracy. It's something so much worse. It's something so dark, and it's sad, and it's totally dehumanizing and insulting to these individuals. I mean, look at her. Look at this. Crypt keeper. Are you in agreement that there should be age limits? I think there should be. Or maybe the best way to do it is just to do an IQ test, right? The best way to do it is just to do like a basic cognitive test. And it's I like to weed out this. It's exactly what Elon Musk's talking about. We don't have a rule of the people. We have a rule of the bureaucrats. It's not democracy. Elon Musk saying that if we don't change things right now, we are all going to go bankrupt from the White House. Let's go.
If you asked look at the founders today and said, what do you think of the way things have turned out? Well, we have this unelected, fourth unconstitutional branch of government, which is the bureaucracy, which has, in a lot of ways, currently more power than any elected representative. And this is not something that people want, and it's not. It does not match the will of the people. So it's just something we've got to fix. And then we've also got to address the deficit. So we've got a $2 trillion deficit, and if we don't do something about this deficit, the country's going bankrupt. I mean, it's really astounding that the interest payments alone on the national debt exceed the Defense Department budget, which is shocking because we spend a lot of money on defense. But and if that just keeps going, we're essentially going to bankrupt the country. So what I really want to say is, like, it's not optional for us to reduce the federal expenses. It's essential. It's essential for America to remain solvent as a country, and it's essential for America to have the resources necessary to provide things to its citizens and not simply be servicing vast amounts of debt.
Again, when was the last time you saw this level of transparency in your government? Like what we just lived through for the last 4 years. In one single press conference, ALX, I'm like sitting here kicking myself. We should have just loaded up the entire thing. We should just load up the entire thing. Like this entire Oval Office press conference from Elon Musk and Donald Trump. I would just watch the whole thing straight through. When was the last time you heard from the federal government this level of transparency. It's incredibly refreshing. Elon Musk saying there are 150-year-olds receiving Social Security. Oh, really? Let's go.
You know, there's crazy things like just cursory examination of Social Security, and we've got people in there that are 150 years old. Now, do you know anyone who's 150? I don't. Okay. They should be on the Guinness Book of World Records. They're missing out. So, you know, that's a case where, like, I think they're probably dead. It's my guess. Or they should be very famous, one of the two.
The fact that he's wearing the hat, the fact that Elon is in the Oval Office looking in a t-shirt like every single day, first off, mad respect, and then two, he's just like constantly wearing the hat and like doing the meme. And now there's a new meme, the government mine. Did you know that the government processes all of its retirement on paper inside of a mine, deep in the earth? This is something that we actually had to look into to see if it was real. Because, I mean, it just seems like, again, something that would be in a script written about government inefficiency. But here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Federal employee retirements are processed using paper by hand in an old limestone mine in Pennsylvania. 700 mine worker operators, 230 feet underground, process 10,000 applications per month, which are stored in manila envelopes in cardboard boxes. The retirement process takes multiple months. It's like they want to like openly insult all of us. Here it is. There it is. And here's what it's like they're trying to create a system that's so inefficient that you could never possibly fix it. That's the purpose of this. Elon Musk saying, we're going to fix it. Here we go.
And then we were told, this is actually, I think, a great anecdote, because we were told that the most number of people that could retire possibly in a month is 10,000. We're like, well, why is that? Well, because all the retirement paperwork is manual on paper. It's manually calculated, then written down on a piece of paper. Then it goes down a mine. And like, what do you mean a mine? Like, yeah, there's a limestone mine where we store all the retirement paperwork. And you look at a picture of this mine. We'll post some pictures afterwards. And this mine looks like something out of the 50s because it was started in 1955. So it looks like it's like a time warp. And then the speed, the limiting factor is the speed at which the mine shaft elevator can move determines how many people can retire from the federal government. And the elevator breaks down sometimes, and then nobody can retire.
Who's in charge of this mine? Is it Social Security? Who's in charge of this mine? I want to go there. I want to go there and like actually show this process. Let us go into the mine. I want to show you how inefficient your government is. It's insulting. It's prima facie. It's intended to insult you. Like brutalist architecture. It's designed to be ugly. It's designed to hurt you. It's designed to tell you you have no power here. It's intended to be demoralizing and depressing and to pull you down, not lift you up. This is your federal government processing all of its retirements in a mine. That functions on the elevator and how quickly it can move. All right, final thing here from this. Little X and Donald Trump having a high IQ moment.
Okay? This is X, and he's a great guy, high IQ. He's a high IQ individual.
And he's got this cool chain he's got.
So thank you very much. We had a busy day today. The king just left, and we've had a great discussion, terrific discussion concerning Gaza.
High IQ individual. Look at that. Real photos. That's little Jack Kennedy. And this is little X there. Look at that. You can see there the door's got to still work, right? Can you go back? You can see there's like a little door. You don't have the right angle of the desk here, but there's like a little door in the Resolute desk. So you could go back. You could recreate the photo. Trump's got plenty of grandkids. We are living in the greatest timeline, ladies and gentlemen. And joining us in just a moment is Congressman Troy Nehls, who will talk to us about maybe finding out the truth about the JFK assassination. We heard a great deal from the Oversight Committee and James Comer yesterday about that. We would love to find out more. But first, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to finding out these kind of groundbreaking revelations, like, for instance, we heard yesterday that in 10 days or less, we're going to get the Epstein list. This is what Glenn Beck told us yesterday. We're going to get the Epstein list in 10 days or less. Okay, we'll believe it when we see it, but you got to make sure that you're locked in to our program, make sure that you are on a dependable wireless network, and also that you are able to not fund your enemies with the wireless service that you use. Patriot Mobile is the only Christian conservative wireless provider in the country. They have exceptional cell phone service on all three major networks. And ladies and gentlemen, they can make sure that you are supporting the First and Second Amendment, sanctity of life, and our veterans and first responders with your cell phone service. Right now, go to patriotmobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT for a free month of service with promo code Benny. Switch to Patriot Mobile today to defend freedom with every single call and text that you make. patriotmobile.com/Benny. ALX telling me that it's like a 30 minutes, Trump and Elon in the White House. But I'm telling you, ALX, that I'd watch it. I'm telling you, I'd watch it. Next, I think it was amazing. The whole thing was broadcast like end to end on all four major cable news networks last night. And sadly, it's not live, right? So that's the trip up that we get into. It's not actually live, and so we're gonna figure out the best way to cover these things. It's called live to tape. And they do the pool reports from inside of the White House. So this never actually broadcast live. They take the tape, and you never really know what the networks are going to do with the tape. So it's hard to predict. This is what we can predict, that we'll be live right now with our dear friend, the great congressman from Texas, Troy Nehls. Let's go. All right, Congressman, how are you doing? Welcome back to the program. I see no cigar and no Trump tie this time. You were really, really tightening it up, Congressman.
Benny, it's good to be with you. I tell you, you've had some great videos. There's little X's. He's trying to find something up that snout of his. He was looking for it. He was really, really looking for it. But I have to tell you that that press conference by the Dems, I mean, which side are you on? I mean, I didn't identify who that screeching owl was that was leading that. Which side are you on? I mean, it's horrible. I believe if we really want to get to the JFK one shooter, two shooter, you pipe that right into CIA, all the intel agencies, and trust me, they will say, we're going to tell you the truth. We can't handle this anymore. So, but I know seriously, which side are you on? I will tell you, President Donald J. Trump and Elon Musk are on the side of the American people and the American taxpayer, and they're exposing it. They're exposing the waste, fraud, and abuse, and I couldn't be more proud of them. Ben.
You're on the Judiciary Committee, Congressman, and so these are the kind of things that obviously will come up. The abuse of the judiciary is something that's been a huge issue, and we saw the press conference yesterday about the JFK assassination that happened on Texas soil, right? Where do you stand on that? It's the first time we've ever heard a member of Congress be like, nope, there were definitely two shooters.
Yeah, that's what was told, and I think the American people have a right to know. I think Donald Trump has said release it all, the American people. I mean, it's decades ago. I don't see the threat now to national security. So I think the American people have a right to know. RFK has a right to know, certainly. So this is a good thing, and hopefully they'll continue to have hearings on oversight and judiciary and get it out. I think the American people have a right to know. It's been many, many years. We have to do it. We have to release that information.
Yes. Good. I mean, it's like, it'd be great to not get like a document with just ink blots. The entire thing is just like black lines. It'd be fantastic to actually see what our government knew and perhaps what our government did. We have a functional democracy. This is the only way that you can have a functional republic, is to not keep secrets from the American people. When it comes to Tulsi Gabbard, who was just confirmed, obviously this is something that's going to be very important for you. On the Judiciary Committee, you run into all these brick walls with the intelligence agencies, right? Like you're constantly having to battle to get documents, to get evidence, to get information, to get testimony. Tulsi Gabbard, as Director of National Intelligence, will probably be very, very helpful for you on your committee, yes?
I believe it will. So now that we're going to continue to expose. We have a hearing today on censorship. We have great people. Talibi and some others are in front, the X-Files, all that. We want to expose to the American people what this administration did under a corrupt government to censor the American people. So Chairman Jordan, we're doing a hell of a job trying to let the American people know just how bad it was, because it was very, very bad. The Democrats don't like what we're doing. And I think Tulsi Gabbard, I mean, you were showing pictures of Mitch McConnell. I mean, kind of sad to see his state of mind and his physical condition. You've got Feinstein in there told to vote yes. And I don't know if term limits, honestly, will be enough. It may require some type of an aptitude test or something, because it is sad that you have people at that age in very, very important positions that could take our country to war. They could be voting on war, but yet we fire airline pilots at the age of 65. We're told FBI agents and air traffic controllers, you got to be out of there by 57 years old, but yet you can serve in the Senate upwards of 90 years old and not really have the mental wherewithal or the aptitude test to really have such a critical position. Sad for me to say that, but I don't know why in the hell you're up here, up here at 90 years old. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, Dianne Feinstein dying in office, like humiliating herself. It's disgraceful. It's a hospice center, really. And you see Mitch McConnell, it's like being wheeled around. He's voted now against Tulsi Gabbard. He voted against Pete Hegseth, caused a little bit of a panic during that vote. We were live for it, Congressman. What the hell's going on with Mitch McConnell? Like, can you like explain it to us, because we're not members of Congress, so maybe we don't understand. Like, is it just vindictiveness against Donald Trump? Why vote against these very popular? Why vote against these very, very popular nominees? Pete Hegseth is doing remarkable work for the American military and the Department of Defense.
Yeah. It seems like he's kind of gone rogue on us a little bit. Mitch McConnell, his wife is Elaine Chao. She used to be DOT secretary. And so I think that, Donald Trump really didn't appreciate her too much the last couple of years. And so maybe there could be some hard feelings, some personal feelings for what President Trump has said about his wife. So it is what it is, but it's not a good way to leave the Senate. I mean, I think, Mitch, you served for decades. You seem like you were a real true conservative and America First patriot, but I don't believe, just what we've seen over the past couple of years, that you will be remembered that way. I mean, you just, freezing in front of the camera. I'm going to be 57. There's no way in hell I'm going to be up here in 20 years. It's not happening. I'll only be 77. I'm going to be at home spending time with grandkids and enjoying the rest of my life. For you to be up here at 90 years old, it just appears to me that you can't let go of the power. It's that power that you love. And without it, you probably don't even feel you're worthy anymore. I mean, you've got to have that power. And I think that's sad that people feel that they have to be up here at 90 years old. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, that's right. It's like so corrupting. Power corrupts the soul and really darkens the human spirit. You were talking, and I know you have votes here, Congressman, in just a second, and you have your committee hearing. It is going to be on censorship, and so I have this clip for you, and I wanted to get you to sound off on it. I love it when our political enemy, I love it when they tell us who they actually are. Here's Ayanna Pressley, your colleague in Congress, saying that it's her number one goal in life to censor Americans. This is an unedited clip. She says it clear as day, rings like a bell. We are going to censor Americans. That's our goal. Let's go.
Look, let me tell you something. I'll take a bit of umbrage here. I'll speak on behalf of my colleagues. I think I can say we are all willing to work with anyone who's serious about doing the work of censoring the American people and advancing progress.
So what?
But they are not serious.
Since you're having a committee hearing on censorship today, maybe your response to this, at least they're admitting it.
There's a real beauty there, Ms. Pressley there. I would recommend that the Democrat caucus, that they nominate her to be the minority leader. We want her. Matter of fact, I think the Republicans should put some money together and get on her. Get her on every television across the country. Hell, Benny, you need her on this program. And just let her speak this way. The American people have rejected it. It's quite clear. But you know what? It seems like the Democrats are even doubling down. Hey, dum-dums, don't you realize that the American people have said, we don't like your policies, the censorship, the border policies, the immigration, all of it. The American people spoke loud and clear. We got all the swing states. Donald Trump clobbered them. They clobbered them. But yet they continue to double down. The problem is with the Democrat Party is they're controlled by these radical left nut jobs like Miss Presley. And I think we should shut them up. We should have more microphones out there. The more she can talk, because the more she speaks, the better opportunity we will keep the House of Representatives, if not even gain seats. But if we truly want to give Donald Trump 4 years of success, seriously, we have to keep the House in 2 years and the Senate. And I recommend that Speaker Johnson and Majority Leader Thune do everything Donald Trump and Elon Musk asks of you, because they're doing a hell of a great job. They put American first, and they're proven and successful.
Ayanna Pressley and Ilhan Omar, and AOC, make them the leader. What's going on? Make them the leaders of the party.
Yeah.
Let it happen, man. We're totally in favor of it. Thank you for proving how anti-censorship you are, Congressman. We actually want them to speak. I would love it. Keep speaking. It's great for us.
I'm going to invite her on your program, Benny. I'm going to get her scheduled for you maybe next week and just have her come on and just let her speak. Benny, you don't have to say anything. Just let her talk.
We invite Democrats. We invite Democrats all the time, man. It's like one of these days. They used to go on Tucker's show too, Congressman. Remember?
Right.
Yeah. That's
She's
right.
a beauty.
Yep. Congressman Troy Nehls, who's just an absolute firebrand, who's just one of the realest ones out there. Can you click on the profile photo right there, that Avi? Come on, man. That's the shot with the Trump sneakers and everything. I bet you're excited for Kash Patel, Congressman.
God, we need him. We need him so badly in Kash. I don't know why they're toying around with him. We need to have Kash. We've exposed the FBI, the intelligence analysts, the 51. I mean, Kash is going to gut that fish. We need to gut the fish, and Kash Patel is the guy to do it. So I couldn't be more proud of Kash Patel, President Trump nominating him. They need to make this swift. I mean, get this done. Let's get him in that position. And so we can save the FBI, because Benny, honestly, the FBI is once was a very respected law enforcement agency. And we need the FBI, Benny. We got to have the FBI. But we got the FBI. We need to get them back to do the work that the FBI needs to. And that is going in there and finding individuals that are exposing and exploiting children through internet crimes against children. The FBI should go out there and conduct investigation to protect the American people at that federal level. But they've been misused, and they've been, circuited over to the side to go out and censor the American people and try to go and arrest the Catholics and everything else. They've done a horrible job under the leadership of Christopher Wray, and having Kash Patel in there, I think he's gonna right the wrong, and we need to have him immediately. So I would urge the Senate to get that confirmation done quickly.
Gut the fish. I love it. The great congressman from Texas. Everybody go give him a follow. 220,000 Americans already follow along. Let's give power to those who are fighting with us. Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you. Thank you, Benny.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, very, very important for us, something that we've been covering for quite a while. The individual who was potentially responsible for the assassination attempt of Donald Trump will now be quitting the Secret Service. Ronald Rowe is his name. We call him Lunkhead on this program. Lunkhead has decided he's going to quit after allowing a Trump assassination. And I say this, it has a chilling effect when you say it the correct way, which is a successful headshot on President Trump. The ear is part of the head. This is an individual that allowed for a successful headshot from a greasy-haired, acne face, dopey, lanky douchebag who was able to get 8 shots off, killing members of our political movement. This is the guy who was responsible for that, and now he's gone. U.S. Secret Service Deputy Director Ronald Rowe, who formerly served as acting director, announced he is retiring. Oh, well. Rowe was named into the top position as an acting capacity after Kim Cheadle resigned in July under pressure from lawmakers. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Bongino says that you got to get rid of the entire leadership at the Secret Service, that it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough to just get 1 or 2 retirements. You got to get rid of the entire leadership. Donald Trump has appointed Sean Curran to serve as the director. This is the individual who's very close with President Trump. They have a great rapport with each other. Sean is the guy in the sunglasses in the legendary photo with Donald Trump after the assassination attempt. You often always see Sean Curran beside President Trump in these environments. The two know each other and like each other, have a great rapport, and he's worked with Donald Trump for 10 years. I think that Sean is a great decision. Deputy Director Rowe will be leaving the Secret Service, announcing his decision to retire after 26 years. The U.S. Secret Service spokesperson, Anthony Guglielmini, told CBS News in a statement. Why is Anthony Guglielmini still employed at the Secret Service? This is the guy who lied multiple times to the public as a spokesperson. He's enjoying a well-deserved break before his retirement. What? It's like, his break should potentially be the break that he gets in the prison yard after being found culpable for the criminal lack of protection against President Trump in Butler. Okay. Well, anyway, we'll take the W's. We'll take the victories. Ladies and gentlemen, Anna Paulina Luna yesterday, live on this program, she was teasing in the committee that she has now created in order to have declassification powers in the United States Congress. This is a awesome first step in getting the truth about the country that you live in. We've been living inside of a lie. Anna Paulina Luna believes there were 2 shooters in the JFK assassination as GOP rep leads task force probing federal secrets. Here's the announcement from yesterday.
When our founding fathers stood against tyranny, they did not merely oppose taxes. They defended the sacred idea of individual sovereignty. They declared that no government, agency, or title could infringe upon the freedoms of speech, religion, thought, and the pursuit of truth. For too long, the American spirit has been dimmed by a veil of secrecy, by a government that has grown too comfortable in the shadows, denying us the transparency we deserve. But today, we stand at the dawn of a new era where the light of truth begins to shine through. A few weeks ago, President Donald Trump made a historic announcement. With the stroke of a pen, he committed to declassifying the files concerning the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a decision not just monumental, but pivotal. It is with profound honor that I have been entrusted by Speaker Mike Johnson and Chairman James Comer to lead the House Oversight Task Force on Declassification of Federal Secrets. Together with the help of the White House, our intelligence allies, the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice, we will be conducting investigations into the following: the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and Dr. Martin Luther King, unidentified aerial phenomena, also known as UAPs, unidentified submerged objects, also known as USOs, the Epstein client list, the origins of COVID-19, and the 9/11 files. This task force will be a beacon of bipartisanship. On the Republican side, Representatives Burchett, Boebert, Burleson, Crane, Gill, and Mace will be joining me, although I'd like to note that I'm expanding this to the entire governing body and will be allowing certain members to waive on. Our first hearing is set for March. The date will be announced soon, and we've already initiated close to a dozen communications with various agencies, to include Pam Bondi at the Department of Justice and the Secretary of State. This will no longer be a task force that makes bold promises only to fade into irrelevance or send strongly worded letters. This will be a relentless pursuit of truth and transparency, and we will not stop until the American people have the answers they deserve. We will cut through the bureaucracy, challenge the stonewalling, and ensure that the American people finally get the truth that they have been denied for too long. If we are to endure and thrive as a nation, we must restore trust through transparency. The American people must be trusted to think for themselves, to form their own judgments from the truth that they are entitled to know. We've been treated like children for too long and kept in the dark by those we elected to serve us. It is my solemn duty to begin mending this trust, to form a new relationship between the government and the governed. Let us embark on this journey together towards a government that does not serve, but one that enlightens. That does not just serve, but one that enlightens. Trust through transparency, that begins now.
Good for you. Good for you, Congresswoman. We are excited to announce the Congresswoman will be joining the program very, very soon. She has a hearing that's going on right now. We wanted to get her on today to talk about this. She was on the program teasing this, and it's something that we're going to be following very, very closely. This is obviously how you actually restore trust. If you're in a relationship and you're constantly hiding something from your spouse, or you don't trust your spouse, or your spouse won't give you their phone, right, or whatever. Yeah, it's like these are how you destroy relationships. And this is like an abusive relationship that we have right now with the federal government, where they openly, actively lie to us, and they're proud of it, and then they rob us, right, at gunpoint with our taxes and force us to fund more lies, force us to fund Donald Trump's impeachment. It's like crazy when you think about it. All of the Soros prosecutors, they're actually USAID prosecutors. It's like our tax dollars were being spent to try and put Trump in jail. They took our tax dollars and then they funded people trying to put Trump in jail, or funded the impeachments against Trump. We were funding it. It's an open insult to all of us. Everybody who's ever watched the Zapruder film obviously knows that it wasn't just one shooter. It's so refreshing to hear Anna Paulina Luna straight up say it yesterday. Here we go.
What's your priority list? Is Epstein, 9/11?
Our first investigation will be announced, but it's going to be covering on a thorough investigation into the John F. Kennedy assassination. And I can tell you, based on what I've been seeing so far, the initial hearing that was actually held here in Congress was actually faulty in the single bullet theory. I believe that there were two shooters, and we should be finding more information as we are able to gain access into the SCIF, hopefully before the files are actually released to the public.
Excellent. Expect this program and this space to be where so many of these breaking revelations are exposed. We have some personal guarantees from Paulina Luna and from James Comer that we'll be hearing first about some of the revelations of this committee, as we have been promoting it and helping with its creation. And we're very proud of that. It's, again, how you restore trust. And we want to be able to trust our government. We want to be able to know that it's a government of the people, right? We want the government to work for us. And here is a perfect example of that. We are very anti-war on this program. War robs countries of their greatest treasures, not just money, but also lives. We don't want wars. Wars often, especially wars in Europe or the Middle East, have a tendency to draw American soldiers into them, no matter where they are. Has a tendency to cost us billions of dollars, even when we're not fighting, like the dumbass war in Ukraine. Well, Donald Trump announcing seconds ago that he just got off the phone with Putin. Breaking news here, ladies and gentlemen, win after win after win. President Trump just had a call with Putin, and he said both agreed to a common sense end of the war in Ukraine. Negotiations have started right now to end the war. Some top lines here from the president. Just had a lengthy and highly productive call with Vladimir Putin. We discussed Ukraine and the Middle East and so on, and the power of the dollar. We both reflected on the great history of our nations, the fact that we fought World War II together. Remember that Russia had tens of millions of people that were lost, like so many. Vladimir Putin wants to end the war in Ukraine. Look at this. President Putin even used my very strong campaign motto of common sense. We both believe very strongly that we need to work together very closely, including visiting each other's nations. Well, look at that. Putin, that's amazing. What will oh man. Guys, ALX, Klein, what's going to happen when Putin comes to the White House? What's that day going to be like? Come on. So here's Trump saying Putin needs to come to the White House. You've never heard the demons scream, but every member of the press will be the no meme. No. Let's continue. We both believe very, very strongly that we should work together. We've also agreed in our respective teams to start negotiations immediately, and we'll begin by calling President Zelensky of Ukraine to inform him of the conversation, something that I will be doing right now. I've asked the Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Director of the CIA, National Security Advisor, and Ambassador, Special Envoy, to lead negotiations, which I feel strongly will be successful. Millions of people have died in the war. That should not have ever happened if I were president, but it did happen, so it must end. No more lives should be lost. I want to thank President Putin for his time and his effort with respect to this call for the release of Mark Fogel, a wonderful man. So this is what happened yesterday. Donald Trump got a prisoner who had been detained by Russia for 4 years. Literally, they snatched this dude up. The day that Joe Biden comes into office, this guy gets snatched up. He's a teacher, Mark Fogel. Russia, nabs him up the day that Biden gets sworn into office. They keep him, and then they release him 3 weeks into Trump's term. Biden did nothing to get this guy released. Somebody explain that? Anybody explain that? Nothing. They didn't lift a finger to release this guy. Pennsylvania teacher Mark Fogel called President Trump a hero. His first remarks since the commander-in-chief's administration secured release from a Russian prison. I want you to know that I am not a hero at all. President Trump is a hero, Fogel said after meeting Trump at the White House. He was draped in an American flag. It's a really touching moment. These men that came from the diplomatic services are heroes. The senators and representatives got me home are heroes. And the dude was like drinking a Pennsylvania beer while he was at the White House. You can see here, Ironworks beer from Pennsylvania. So welcome home, Mark Fogel. Here is the post from President Trump. When I saw Mark Fogel's mother at a rally, she said, "If you win, will you get my son out?" I promised her. She's 95 years old. I said, "We will get him out." And we got him out pretty quickly. Look at this. Here's the man kissing the ground, kissing the earth here in America. Meeting Trump at the White House, and then also there with, you see Mike Waltz there, Witkoff, Special Envoy, and of course Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. And Mark Fogel returned home. Every American should cheer at this. It didn't even get covered on MSNBC. MSNBC has yet to cover this. Isn't that something? These goblins, they just hate America, right? They just hate America. Trump greeting Mark Fogel at the White House. Here we go.
Very difficult to articulate how proud I am of you and how proud I am of what you've done and being back in my country.
Just a beautiful thing. President Trump telling the story of Mark Fogel's mother being at one of his rallies, saying that Mark Fogel's mother kept begging for Trump to get her son out of this Russian prison. It's so inspiring, in fact, that the ambassador to Russia under Barack Obama broke down praising Donald Trump for this incredible moment. Let's go.
Hallelujah. Fantastic news. Praise be to President Donald Trump. That's not a phrase I get to say very often. I don't know the circumstances. I don't know the deal. We'll learn those later, and I don't care. Mark was in bad health. He was wrongfully detained for years. This is an American patriot. This is a fantastic human being. He was a teacher to one of my sons. He was an integral member of our community in Moscow when I lived there. And this is just fantastic news for anybody who cares about patriotic Americans.
Promises made, promises kept, says Donald Trump in posting images of Mark Fogel kissing the ground. Just amazing. Just one more time. Just a beautiful. Mark Fogel kissing the ground here. Draped in an American flag, drinking a Pennsylvania beer, being welcomed home. The power, ladies and gentlemen, of having America first back. It's incredible. We all did it together. It's a really, really special moment. Yeah, that's one. That's amazing. We all did this together. Right here. This is how we did it. Right there. So we are very happy to announce that the confirmation hearing for RFK will be taking place imminently. This will happen probably tomorrow. And then Kash Patel. Whew. It's going to be a live one. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll also be live for a press conference at the White House with Carolyn Leavitt. Always exciting and must-watch entertainment. We'll be live later for that as well. Something we appreciate you kind of rolling with us through these breaking news shows. It's very important to get. If Donald Trump doesn't get his cabinet in, then he has no protection. This was the critical error in 2016, and this is what they've learned. Donald Trump Donald Trump having to leave the White House in 2020 might be the single greatest blessing to this movement. The fact that he had 4 years to plan and to consider and to think through from a landscape level, like from a war map level, like what went wrong, and then to fix it this time around. This is so critical. Trump did not get his people in these positions. They were all saboteurs, all of them. But especially people like Bill Barr, especially these, they were truly working against President Trump. You see that now. Mark Milley, these guys, John Bolton, there's a Reince Priebus, like all these guys, like they were working, they were sabotaging him from the inside. And you can't get this work done without your team in. So these kind of things are very, very important to us. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we fight, we remind you that we are fighting not just flesh and blood, we're fighting spiritual battles. That's why we end every single show with a verse of the day. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who hurt you. Luke 6:28. The tough one, right? Like hard to do that in life. Very hard. But I gotta tell you, man, it's the older you get, the more you realize, like, when you give back, when you forgive people, you're actually doing it for yourself. It's actually you getting the burdens off your back. It's you deciding to live your life without the weight on your shoulders. Forgiveness is actually a practice in your own soul. So you might on the surface level think you're doing it for someone else. No, man, you're doing it for yourself. You ever met somebody who's old and who's bitter and who's not forgiven anyone and who's carried that through the rest of their lives? They end up looking like Mitch McConnell. They end up looking like Dianne Feinstein. They're just like old cretinous and nasty. You don't want to be that. There's so much truth in this. But the truth is that, when you're doing that, you're actually liberating yourself from those chains. And so we want to live free. On this program, we thank you for joining us today. and the fastest single growing news stream in the world. It's your boy Benny. We'll see you live later today.
Billionaire Elon Musk, recently appointed to President Trump's cabinet as Transportation Secretary and Border Czar, is now he is rounding up asylum seekers like cattle into his rocket ships. He calls them illegal aliens. The problem is the rockets keep exploding.
I'll tell you the tale of such a thick fog. Spoke a voice that boomed from above, from above. Go back, tell the others, you sail in false waters. The Gulf of America is upon us. Yea, be marooned till you say why. The Gulf of America is upon us. The voice became clear as the Cubans appear. They just wanted to be the 51st state this year. The great Gulf of America is upon us. And guess what? Before Canada could take a side, the Mexicans appeared, and so we replied. Guess what? Guess what? Everything will be okay. Guess what day? What day it is? It's hump day. Get it on, hump day. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest kings, and a dying legacy, media deal weeds. Soon will the penny show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for number one. Show come to mind. The salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for number one. The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest king.